I wanted to talk to you guys about perspective and attitude. So does he. Perspective and attitude are a couple of things that can have a pretty significant difference on what your health journey looks like. It is up to you to choose your attitude in a situation, and if you come to realize that your perspective is not beneficial to you, that you can change it. There is a tarot card in the Major Arcana that is the Hanged Man. If you think about that in terms of like history, you would expect someone to be upright, correct? But they're actually not. The image on pretty much every one of those cards that I've seen is a man hanging upside down by their ankle. Usually only one ankle. It almost looks like they're in tree pose upside down, which would be really weird. But anyway, my point is, if you are not where you want to be health-wise, you can choose to change something that you're doing. You can choose to make a choice. You can choose to stay where you're at too. I would argue that it doesn't give you much room to complain if you don't want to do anything differently and you aren't happy with where you are. And this is one of those things that in the histamine intolerance community, I have seen a lot of people that have basically given up. If you look at it in terms of, this is how my body's responding to histamine, and I have to eat this way, and there's nothing I can do about it. Guess what? There's nothing you can do about it. But if you think of it in terms of, I can choose to eat this way and then figure out what's causing it. I wasn't always this way, so I can probably figure out what changed and correct it. That might look different for different people. I've had lots of people say that they can't eat the stuff that I eat. It doesn't work for them. And that's fine. I can tell you that a lot of people that have like Sibo and some of those, they probably won't respond well to the recipes that I put up because they have a different root cause than what I have, and it responds differently, even though the outcome in that the histamine issues are there, it's still got that, but everything else about it's different. It involves changing your perspective. I could stop this and say, I'm just going to be upset with my cat because he wants to be the center of attention. Or I can keep talking to you guys and ask you to not focus on what's going on screen and instead focus on thinking about where you are. Do you want to be where you're at? Do you have problems that you're still working through? Are you making progress towards those things? I've had a lot of people over the years that don't see the value of breaking it down into different things since I had multiple root causes. Well, for me, a catch-22. If I try and focus on everything, I don't have any focus at all, if that makes sense. There's a saying about, if a dog tries to catch two rabbits at the same time, they lose both. I chose to focus on the mast cell issues because it's the one that didn't seem overwhelming to me. I had already been trying to fix the hormone issues for years, unsuccessfully, because it's not something that I really understand, and I didn't have any help with it. I didn't really have any help with the mast cell stuff, but even the comment that the person that diagnosed me with histamine intolerance made about mast cell, or I think she referred to it as MCAS, being associated with the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, it was a different perspective. Nobody had ever told me that. Nobody had said, oh yeah, it's normal for people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome to develop sensitivities or allergies or, weird things like having issues with fragrances. Nobody had told me that. It was a new perspective. So while my immediate thing was getting the histamine under control so I could get rid of the hives that I was dealing with constantly, it was one of those things that once I got to that point, just simply controlling the situation wouldn't work. I started looking for different solutions. If you instead decided, well, I can't control the situation 100% of the time, and that's just how it's going to be, there's nowhere else to go, you're not going to wind up ever getting to the bottom of what's going on. You're not going to fix your root causes because you have essentially accepted the perspective that it's just something you have to live with. And yeah, normal, mainstream medicine, they want you to just have to live with everything, because then you're buying their antihistamines and you're buying their whatever to deal with whatever. And you're paying for your appointments to be told that you're crazy. I got told that I was crazy for several years every time I went to the doctor. And I had to have that change of perspective and choose to change my attitude in order to move past that. And I think that's really important, that you realize you have a choice to change your attitude and you have a choice to change your perspective. Next week, I will probably have a video up letting you know what I changed once my perspective changed.